In early 2025, Chinese state media declared a breakthrough. Egypt had purchased 40 J-10C fighter jets. Saudi Arabia was said to be negotiating for the stealthy J-35. Military blogs buzzed with videos of handovers, air shows, and cannon salutes. But none of it was real. The videos were CGI. The delivery photos were doctored images from an air show in 2018. The Egyptian blogger who first shared the story registered in Cairo's Chinatown. The article cited by Chinese media didn't exist. Still, inside China, the news spread like wildfire. Another victory, another step in the rise of a superpower. But outside, no contracts, no deliveries, no buyers. So if no one is flying these jets, why is everyone watching them? And what exactly is China selling, aircraft or illusion? The J-10C was supposed to be China's F-16, a sleek, single-engine, multi-role fighter that could be exported around the world. Cheaper than American jets, packed with modern sensors, a symbol of rising power. On paper, it worked. In propaganda, it soared. But in reality, the jet has one consistent buyer: China itself. Let's start with the most widely circulated claim, Egypt. In 2024, military forums exploded with reports that Egypt had ordered 40 J-10C jets. Videos showed jets flying over pyramids. A delivery ceremony was posted to social media. Chinese commentators praised the deal as a blow to American dominance. But there was a problem. No official statement from Egypt. No coverage from credible Arabic outlets. The delivery images were recycled from China's 2018 Zhuhai Air Show. And the Egyptian blogger who confirmed the deal? His account was traced to a marketing agency inside Cairo's Chinatown. Still, Chinese media ran with it. The myth was born. A few months later, rumors spread again, this time about Saudi Arabia. According to the reports, Riyadh was interested in the J-35, China's underdevelopment stealth fighter. Self-media platforms published articles titled, "Saudi shifts away from the West, J-35 on the horizon." The story spread. It got clicks, but there was no evidence. No flight tests, no joint statements, no signed deals. And then, nothing. The video links disappeared. The blogs went silent. The victory evaporated. This isn't new. In fact, it's a pattern. Over the past 5 years, China's military self-media has crafted an entire export narrative out of vapor. From Serbia to Argentina to Thailand, tales of J-10 sales surface regularly, only to fade when the contracts never come. Why? Because the jets aren't the problem. The ecosystem is. The J-10C lacks global support infrastructure, no global service network, no reliable access to spare parts, no combat record, and most importantly, no alignment with Western systems. Countries like Egypt and Thailand already operate American or Russian aircraft. Their pilots are trained on F-16s. Their air bases are wired for NATO protocols. To buy the J-10C would mean rewiring their entire air force, a logistical nightmare and a geopolitical risk. Worse, the J-10's engine, the WS-10, is known to require 2 replacements per jet over its service life. Even Pakistan, the only foreign buyer of the J-10CE, has struggled with maintenance. So instead of being a global defense disruptor, the J-10C has become something else entirely, a media weapon. Inside China, it's a story of success, a tool for pride, a symbol of national strength. Outside China, it's a product that no one wants to touch. If the aircraft isn't competitive and no one's buying it, why does China keep promoting it? Because in this game, the jets are secondary. The story is the real product. Each rumor, whether about Egypt, Saudi Arabia, or Thailand, serves a domestic purpose. It reinforces the image of China rising, a country no longer just copying foreign technology, but selling it, dictating the skies. It's not about exports, it's about optics. But behind the optics is something more deliberate, a strategic firewall of influence. Washington's COTSA laws penalize countries that buy weapons from U.S. rivals like Russia or China. The message is simple: buy American or pay a price. In 2021, Egypt canceled a $3 billion deal for Russian Su-35 fighters under U.S. pressure. So would Cairo risk similar sanctions for the J-10C? A jet with no track record, no stealth, and fewer capabilities? Unlikely, and China knows it. Beijing understands that its fighter jets will struggle in open competition. What it can control, though, is perception. That's why self-media accounts flood platforms like TikTok, Weibo, and Bilibili with CGI animations of J-10s flying over foreign cities. Why 3D renderings of J-35 stealth jets are uploaded before the jet even flies. Why delivery photos are photoshopped using old airshow images. They build a digital battlefield where winning is about belief, not buyers. Inside China, these campaigns work. Search terms like J-10C Egypt still yield thousands of reposts and discussions. Commenters celebrate how the world is finally turning toward Chinese tech. But it's not just false pride, it's policy. In 2025, Beijing introduced new media guidelines requiring defense-related self-media to highlight national achievement and avoid negative comparisons. The result? A stream of one-sided victories with no critical scrutiny. Even when deals collapse, like with Argentina, who chose second-hand F-16s over the JF-17. Chinese media frame it as temporary negotiation setbacks. There's no room for failure in the official script. But reality is harder to silence. Thai Air Force analysts publicly ranked the J-10C below Sweden's Gripen. Iran, long seen as a potential buyer, chose Russian Su-35s instead. And no NATO-aligned country has ever seriously considered a Chinese fighter jet. The core issue isn't price or performance, it's trust. Defense deals aren't about hardware alone. They're about alliances, long-term support, and strategic alignment. China's defense ecosystem lacks that reliability. No global network, no combat-verified systems, no interoperability with the world's dominant platforms. So the J-10 doesn't lose on specs. It loses on confidence. That's why it thrives better on screen than in airspace. Why it fuels hashtags, but not squadrons. And why, for now, China's fighter jet program wins best in simulation. In a hangar on the outskirts of Chengdu, engineers in navy blue coveralls stand beside a row of freshly painted J-10C airframes. There's no sound of takeoff, no foreign flags, no export crates. These jets were built for export, but they're not going anywhere. Instead, they sit idle, waiting for a buyer that never came. The Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group, a subsidiary of state-run AVIC, was once promised a golden future. China's fighter jets would challenge the F-16, the Rafale, even the Gripen. Developing countries would line up for affordable alternatives. The domestic defense industry would become a global player. But that future never arrived. Between 2020 and 2025, AVIC ramped up J-10C production in anticipation of multiple deals. Egypt, Thailand, and Saudi Arabia were all rumored buyers. Internal forecasts projected over 120 export units by mid-decade. In preparation, local suppliers expanded capacity. Electronic component firms hired more staff. Propaganda departments began crafting success stories months in advance. But the orders never came, and the jets never left the country. The result? A quiet supply chain hangover. Warehouses filled with unsold components. Smaller contractors stuck with unpaid invoices. AVIC forced to reallocate export units back into domestic military stockpiles, some of which were never meant to be used, just displayed. For private suppliers, the damage was real. One radar systems subcontractor in Guizhou filed for bankruptcy in late 2024. They had invested heavily in production tooling after early indications suggested a long-term J-10C export contract was imminent. Another precision parts manufacturer in Shaanxi laid off 60% of its workforce. Their client, a wing frame supplier, had overproduced for a batch of jets meant for a Southeast Asian buyer that pulled out. Behind every export rumor is a real production decision. And behind every production decision is real capital. When the rumor fails, the losses don't stay online. They hit the floor. AVIC is state-backed, so the fallout doesn't cause collapse. But it causes something worse: artificial momentum. The company continues production, not because there is demand, but because the political machine demands a constant sense of movement. Inside China's military-industrial complex, to stop producing is to admit defeat. So instead, they produce for potential buyers, for demonstration squadrons, for future opportunities. Jets are repainted, serial numbers are rotated, delivery schedules are postponed indefinitely, and the illusion continues. This model infects the entire aerospace economy. Local governments, eager to prove alignment with national goals, offer subsidies to factories involved in strategic defense innovation. But most of these funds go into assembly lines that serve propaganda more than procurement. In 2025, a provincial audit in Jiangxi found that over 45% of allocated aerospace innovation grants were spent on projects with no identifiable end user. Some of the aircraft frames were built from outdated designs. Others were reportedly used in airshows but never activated for combat. Even PLA insiders admit the issue. One unnamed logistics officer told a foreign outlet, "We have J-10s sitting in storage because they were originally built for an export customer that vanished." Yet the story never changes. New headlines claim interest from Nigeria. Mock-ups appear at defense expos with fictional liveries. Official statements promise growing international demand, while the balance sheets quietly absorb the cost of fiction. The most expensive part? Not the engine, not the avionics, not even the paint. It's the story itself. Crafted, promoted, protected. Because in China's military-industrial ecosystem, loss can be tolerated, but embarrassment cannot. So the J-10C keeps flying in state videos, in nationalist speeches, in speculative headlines. Meanwhile, engineers keep showing up, suppliers keep producing, and factories keep running, even when the world isn't buying. In a flight simulator lab just outside Xi'an, a test pilot stares at a blue-lit screen. The virtual cockpit mimics the J-10C. He's run the same sequence for weeks: target lock, supersonic interception, flyover formation. None of it will be used in combat. None of it is for real clients. This drill is for video, a marketing shoot for a fighter no one is buying. The pilot calls it acting in uniform. Across China's defense industry, workers, engineers, assembly line crews, test pilots are caught in a strange kind of labor, not building to serve warfighters, but building to serve a narrative. They wake up early, they report to factories, they troubleshoot systems, and in many cases they know exactly what they're doing, working on machines that will never leave the country, never be exported, never fight. "We call them ghost jets," says one avionics technician in Chengdu. "They exist, they fly, but no one's at the other end to receive them." His team spent 6 months refining a radar module for a foreign client in the Middle East. Every requirement was met, production scaled, training simulations were drafted. Then silence. No client, no delivery, and yet the project wasn't canceled. They were told to continue testing, continue documenting, continue preparing, just in case. The same pattern echoes across departments. In factory bays, workers assemble airframes with export serial numbers. Paint teams apply foreign camouflage liveries. Marketing staff design foreign language brochures. Then it all gets boxed up, repainted, filed away. One systems engineer described it as looping a lie. Every action feeds the appearance of momentum, not the delivery of function. Even internal morale is managed by illusion. In 2023, AVIC organized an all-staff town hall in Chongqing. Executives projected slides showing a multi-nation pipeline for J-10C sales: Pakistan, Nigeria, Argentina, Thailand. Staff applauded. 3 months later, internal memos admitted there were no binding contracts. The pipeline was, in fact, a pitch deck, but the applause had already been filmed, clipped into a morale video, uploaded to AVIC's internal intranet, reposted by patriotic influencers. No one asked questions. Everyone knows what's real, said a logistics coordinator at one satellite factory. But no one wants to be the person who says it. Because in China's military-industrial workforce, truth is radioactive. Speak it and you risk your job, risk your team, risk your future. So the workers stay quiet and keep building. A junior technician in Shaanxi described her onboarding session. First, they showed us videos of foreign pilots flying the J-10C. Then, they told us, don't ask where those pilots are today. The unspoken answer? They don't exist. Because the footage was staged, or recycled, or both. But the machine continues. Even junior employees feel the weight of maintaining the illusion. In online developer groups, J-10C systems engineers speak in vague metaphors. Clean skies means projects canceled. Paper lift means fake demand. Steel birds with no nest means aircraft built for buyers who never came. One comment thread, quickly deleted, read, if we're building planes that don't fly and writing manuals no one reads, are we even part of an air force anymore? Or just a very expensive stage crew? Outside the facilities, most workers know better than to vent. Their phones are monitored, their forums filtered. Their contracts include political conduct clauses. But in whispered conversations, they admit the truth. They're not building weapons, they're building props. And yet, in official documents, productivity is up. Morale is strong. Orders are pending, always pending. The worker becomes a participant in the performance. A technician becomes a stagehand. Pilot becomes an actor. And a defense plant becomes a film studio with airstrips. The planes may not leave China, but the story does. It flies through press releases, expo booths, TikTok clips, and broadcast news. The world may not be buying the jets, but China's workers are still building the show. In the heart of Beijing, a high school student scrolls through TikTok. A video shows a fleet of J-10C fighters soaring over desert sands. The caption reads, Egypt joins China's aviation revolution. The comments explode with patriotism. We're finally beating the West. No one needs America's planes anymore. China's jets are cheaper and better. But behind the screen there is no deal, no delivery, no confirmation, just 3D animations, clipped together with marching music and edited dust trails. And yet, to the viewer it feels true. Because in today's China, the performance of victory matters more than the substance. Across the country, exhibitions and air shows highlight the global success of Chinese jets. Uniformed actors pose in foreign-styled fatigues. Mock-up cockpits are labeled with fake squadron decals. Children take selfies next to posters declaring, trusted by nations around the world. But when asked which nations, no one can answer, because no one dares to ask. In local schools, patriotic tech education has become mandatory. Middle school students learn how China overtook the West in drone warfare. High school students are assigned essays on the export strength of Chinese aviation. None of these claims are questioned, because questioning the numbers means questioning the narrative. And the narrative is sacred. Meanwhile, on television, retired PLA generals appear as guests. They discuss growing foreign interest in the J-35 and the JF-17. They cite unverifiable sources, hinting at secret contracts. The implication is clear. We're winning. You should be proud. But off-camera, the story changes. At a university forum in Nanjing, an aerospace student asks, if these jets are so good, why don't we see them in foreign conflicts? He's interrupted, told to frame questions constructively. Later, his online post about the forum disappears. In 2024, a leaked internal survey showed that over 62% of students in military tech programs believe Chinese jets had been exported to at least 5 countries. The actual number of confirmed buyers at the time? 1. Pakistan. A deal born not from demand, but from geopolitical necessity. Still, the perception lingers. That's because perception is carefully engineered. Social media platforms amplify videos that reinforce the national storyline. Accounts that question it are flagged. Threads disappear. Even voice messages referencing fake air deals are auto-flagged in group chats. A pilot joke makes the rounds quietly among aerospace students. What do you call a Chinese export jet? A hologram with afterburners. But laughter only goes so far. The deeper problem is emotional investment in something hollow. For many Chinese citizens, the illusion of global success offers comfort. It's proof that the sacrifices, low wages, high pressure, lost freedoms, are part of something bigger, something historic. To question the jet is to question the trajectory. To question the trajectory is to question the dream. So people don't. Not openly, not loudly, but quietly the cracks appear. A delivery driver in Shenzhen watches a patriotic livestream, then shakes his head. His son wants to be a fighter pilot. He wants to believe the future is in Chinese wings. But he knows his neighbor works at the factory, and that factory hasn't delivered anything overseas in 3 years. A young woman in Chongqing reposts an article celebrating the J-10C's combat readiness. In private, she tells a friend, "It's good for clicks. I don't care if it's true." Even the most loyal voices begin to distance themselves. Not with protests, but with indifference. The illusion isn't confronted. It's outgrown. Because eventually, a nation can only stare at empty runways for so long. Eventually, people begin to notice that the jets only ever appear in simulations, on screens, in speeches, and never ever in action. The J-10C still flies, information on state TV, in press kits sent to African trade expos. But on the ground, belief is thinning. Not because someone shouted, "The emperor has no clothes," but because too many people looked up and saw nothing there. The fighter jet was supposed to be proof that China had arrived, that the world was buying in, that the dream was real. But the sky remains quiet. No deliveries, no buyers, only headlines, hashtags, and hope. The J-10C flies in airshows, in animations, in the imaginations of a billion people. But on export ledgers, there's only silence. Still, the illusion continues, because in a system where perception is power, a jet that seems sold is sometimes more useful than one that actually flies. So the question remains, if the world isn't buying these planes, but China keeps building them, filming them, celebrating them, then who are they really for? And when the cameras turn off, does the jet ever leave the ground? Asterisk, asterisk.